Welcome to Life on Life's Terms, episode 38. It's me, Justin, and
It's Kenny.
we're going to get into some of the past guests' memorable moments. And we're also going to talk about reaching out to the youth and some of the stuff that we would suggest that did work for us and probably didn't work for us. So let's kick it off with how was your day?
My day's been really good.
Yeah?
School's almost wrapped up. Today we went over some legalities about setting up your own personal training company, and
What?
yeah, I'm on point with personal training. I got my whole brand coming together and
Awesome.
my idea behind it, and I got guys that are willing to work with me, and we're gonna reach out to get other industry professionals in the health and wellness industry to kind of support us. We support them, send each other clients, referrals.
I was just actually in a meeting with another entrepreneur today, and we were talking and discussing about how important it is for young entrepreneurs to be in an incubator with each other, because the flow of juices and ideas and innovation, so on and so forth, really bounces off people, and that's always conducive towards positivity in the end, right?
Maybe we should start a group.
Yeah, we'll get into maybe some of that later on. What else is happening today?
I have to go to a board meeting after this that I'm going to be late for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for a nonprofit that I donate my life to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my energy.
That's
time,
fun.
skills.
What did you do last weekend? It was rainy up here in the north.
Oh yeah, it was disgusting. I did big FA.
Yeah?
Yeah, FA. Even my kids wouldn't come outside with me, and I bribed them.
Really? Yeah.
Didn't work. They're
Fuck
no,
that, son.
no.
Yeah.
I was like, fine, give me your phones. They're like, fine, take it. I'm not going outside.
I know we were supposed to go to Kaleido
Fest.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. I got to buying tea. So shout out to Acquired Taste. You can purchase any of their teas online, and they're fantastic and fabulous. I think they're brewed and made right then and there, except for the quintessential teas like Lap Sung, whatever the heck it's called. I can't remember. It's some Asian tea that tastes like smoke. So if you're a Scotch drinker, like I was, that's the tea that you want to be drinking. And then I went to Remedy Cafe. Another plug.
Another plug.
They have some of the best East Asian food
Yeah.
in the Edmonton area. It was really good. I think I split a vegan dish with the significant other, and had rooibos vanilla chai, which I now make in my own home because they sell crack.
What?
That's how good it is. It's crack. That tea is crack. I'm serious. It's addictive. It's so addictive. You have one sip of it, and you're like, I'm going back to Remedy
I'm robbing the place.
for vanilla rooibos chai latte. It's amazing. So anybody who's in the Edmonton area, shit you not, you need to cut out Tim Hortons and direct all of your attention at least once to Remedy and check out the vanilla rooibos chai. And when you go there, tell them that you heard this on Life on Life's Terms podcast. It would be greatly appreciated if you did that. So other than that, my weekend was pretty good. Got to watching Wild Wild Country on Netflix, which was pretty. If you haven't seen that, you got to see that.
Oh, so I had a movie experience. I have been avoiding TVs and movies for a long time. Haven't watched a movie since I was in jail and really paid attention to it.
Yeah.
But Ready Player One
Okay.
fucking rocked my world.
Really?
I not only
Where did you see it?
So we just ordered it on a smart TV.
Oh, yeah,
something.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
$7. But it's all digitally animated, like a video game, like a high definition video game.
Okay.
And it's nonstop action, but there's a good storyline in it, and they keep dropping all these punches from 1980s movies and songs, and he cruises at the beginning. It's a race between the original Bigfoot truck
Yeah.
and a souped up DeLorean.
There you go.
And there's all these different characters throughout the movie that reference the 80s babies.
Oh no.
It's good. It's so good.
I try to forget the 80s. I was young. I remember a lot of it though. I mean, do you remember
spin me right round, baby?
do you remember Perfect Strangers?
No.
What?
When's that?
Oh, you're a little younger than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. With TGIF, when TGIF first started, they had the lineup with that, and there was this other show with this old man that looked like Liam Nielsen. But the only thing I remember is the dog named Dreyfus, but I can't remember the show. So if anybody out there remembers the dog Dreyfus, and they were like running along, a beach and shit. That's like that's my photographic memory kicking in right now. It's kind of like screaming back in my head. I also watched the fight. Did you check out Triple G Canelo?
No.
We had PJ in yesterday talking about that. So again, there were some degenerate gamblers on our page who were like, hey, I made money off of his prediction because Canelo whooped him by decision. And that's what PJ had predicted. So any of you degenerate gamblers listening now, I would go listen to that show that just came out yesterday because he made more predictions on near future fights. We'll probably have him again in next month to give us more predictions because it seems like people really enjoy those.
Sports Select players. Share this episode with all your Sports Select players.
Unfortunately, we're more popular in America than we are in Canada, or fortunately, I should say, we're more popular in America than Canada. I mean, I love both countries the same. They're both. Well, Canada's free-ish, and America is free. Canada's free-ish. Anyways, we're going to talk a little bit about memorable guests, being like 38 episodes in. Who was most memorable for you?
The first interview I did with Howie Hoggins, I had the most fun with that because the guy is just like a spark of life. He has got so much energy and passion in the things that he's doing and his hobbies, like hearing all those voices that he's a what do they call it? A voiceover guy. Yeah, he does voiceovers, and he has 60 different characters with different personalities and different voices. Yeah. And like he's told me stories where he dressed up as a woman and did stand-up comedy at a gay bar.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and like they all had a blast. Like there was it's pretty funny stuff.
So who was the hardest to ask to come in?
The hardest to ask? I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
No. So I think one of my most memorable was I have two. That's the Bishop and Chris Suchit. So the Bishop was good because when you're listening to that episode, you can hear for about 30 minutes, and this is why we go for an hour. You can hear for the first 30 minutes that he's basically just talking about like all the stuff that he knows.
Is that the show? Is it called An Empty Nest?
Yeah, that's it.
With the dog named Dreyfus?
Yeah. So he was basically talking about all the stuff that he knows, and what was really nice was he talked about what it was like becoming a bishop and how he was selected and all that stuff, which is really, really interesting. And what was also interesting is like I said, he was talking about all the stuff that he knew within his life, like almost like if you could say talking points, like just the same stuff that he says over and over again. And then once that 30 minutes broke, it was like the bishop that I know, my friend, the bishop that was there. Yeah. And so he really let everybody into who he was.
It wasn't vulnerable.
Well, I wouldn't say it was vulnerable. It was just like I saw at about the 35 mark, he was like, oh, wow. He didn't know how long we had been into it, but I asked him the next question, and then we kept reciprocating back and forth through conversation. And next thing you know, he was him. It wasn't It wasn't like, well, this, and this. It wasn't like the forum that he speaks in all the time. It was him personally talking. It was like he forgot that the headphones were on and the microphone was in front of his face. And that was really, really cool. With Chris Suchit, the guy's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to treatment. I mean, he's been doing this since 1968 till present. He's still in the addiction field, and he was part of the addiction field when it was still research. Like, they were researching
when they thought alcoholism was.
Well, they knew
insanity.
They knew the premise of AA, but the difference was that there was so much stuff coming in regards to the opiate crisis that was happening back then, and some of the drugs that were going on, that it was still like researchable, behavioral, they were researching behavioral changes. Right at that time. So to hear the stuff from back in those times to today of how the evolution of drug treatment has changed over the time was just remarkable. The amount of information and talent that he brought was incredible. And then as well, he cited things that he had said, if we work on this, it will change. Like one of his big things, I'm recalling, I won't be able to say it exactly as he said it, but he basically said, everybody used to smoke, and that's a very addictive substance. And he said, because everybody smoked, now when we look at the smoking, 90% of people in our society have quit.
Yeah.
And only 8% of our society starts smoking. And he said, cigarettes aren't illegal, When we look at drugs, though, drugs are definitely illegal. And how big is the epidemic right now within the social constructs of what we're seeing?
Well, way more people are dying from that than...
Well, and he said, what was it that changed cigarettes? And the biggest reason what changed cigarettes was education at a young age.
Yeah.
I mean, we know it right now. It's stupid to smoke. There's nothing good about it. Why is it that there are still people dying from jamming a fucking needle in their arm? Right? Why DARE didn't work? I mean, shit, I'm a product of DARE, and I'm still a drug addict. I'm a recovered drug addict, but I still abused drugs and alcohol. I mean, DARE didn't save me. That was a scare tactic all the way through school.
When they came to my school, it sparked my interest.
Yeah, me too. I was like, I'm Bad Boy Johnny. Literally, that's what I was.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Thanks for showing me what it looks like. And then I remember standing there because I had drugs in my pocket when they were showing us the drugs. And I'm like, that's not marijuana.
Mine's way better.
I was like, that's not that's fucking parsley. Yeah. That's what I sold the kid down the street. The shit in my pocket, can you not smell it? I can. like that's what DARE was, right? So those were very, very memorable episodes for me. Not saying that, I mean, that's just definitely the highlight. That's definitely the highlight of the recent shows. I have some guests coming in over the next little while. I suspect will be probably up there again. And I'm really looking forward to those. The hardest one to ask was Chris. And the reason why I was so nervous for him to come in, because I wasn't sure how he would take one to the microphone in front of his face. I thought he would come in, see it, and be like, I'm fucking out of here. Like, that's what I thought. And I was nervous all the way through. And of course, our deadlines. I mean, we have to come up with 2 shows a week. And if somebody bails on us, who do you have coming in behind them? Like, typically there's nobody else behind them. You know what I mean? We're counting on it, really. And
I got a backup guy.
Just saying though, like
just in case.
Yeah, but that's especially in the preamble of what had started. Like you weren't a co-host at that time.
Yeah.
And I was soloing this thing, and if he had said no, I mean, what the hell am I going to do?
2 episodes a week by yourself is quite a bit.
It is when you see it now.
Yeah.
Right? Like now that you're a part of it. The other one too was you were when you had first came in.
Yeah.
That was like just shooting from the hip. Like we did the pre-interview and that seemed pretty good. And I thought when you came in, it'll probably be pretty good. And that was a good show.
Surviving the System.
Yeah, that was the first show you and I ever did. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun that show. That show for me, like, kind of marked a point where I knew that I could leverage my transformation to help others.
Yeah.
I felt like I actually have a voice now,
Yeah.
because with this mic in front of me and these headphones on,
Yeah.
it empowered me, and it like, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think, well, and I think the other thing that happens too when you get into this, so like, if I'm going to be frank about it, like, you and I both know the premise of Life on Life's Terms, but when I had first thought about Life on Life's Terms, I was like, this is going to be a lot of recovery, and it's not going to be amicable to many people in society, because not everybody's an addict and not everybody's recovered, and the people who are struggling usually don't have access to
Data.
to the data in order to get the podcast. But what I found increasingly right away that really opened up was, we're looking for that local hero or heroes that have just gone through a transformation in life or have provided a transformation for people in life. That's a lot of people. Like I say, how did you contribute to the stream of life today?
Yeah.
You know, did you deprive it or did you give? Because
I
if you gave, then you're actually a part of that, right? You're not depriving anybody of anything. You're contributing to the stream of life. And how fantastic is that, right? So I mean, I think on that premise, we've really measured up to that party, you know, even with PJ coming in talking about boxing. And I mean, this guy has a crazy amount. I mean, this guy can look at a fighter and break him down to four points, and he knows who would be the hardest competitor. He knows the camps. He knows all of it. So like, when he comes in and he's giving suggestions on fighting, so on and so forth, because I know that there is fighters out there listening to the show. Like, I know that for a fact. I've met these guys, and they've all said PJ gives such an insightful breakdown of what, if you are like this fighter, maybe you should work on this. So people can identify, oh, well, maybe I'm like, my style is like Floyd Mayweather Jr. And then what PJ will do is he'll be like, well, Floyd doesn't want to fight a Lomachenko. And this is why you don't want to fight a Lomachenko if you're a Floyd, right? So he really breaks it down, and it's really quick. So that's what I've always appreciated about PJ when he comes in. We had Rick come in too, Jamerson, who's another boxing coach, but he's all about helping the youth and getting them through the hurdle of shitty life. He has a pretty terrific life story. The craziest one was the episode about improv.
Oh, yeah.
That was like Karina, when she came in and sat down, she's just an off-the-wall girl. You know what I mean? Like the mic doesn't do justice with her facial expressions. And so next year...
We're going live.
Well, next season we will be live on YouTube. So YouTube and Twitch. So we'll be on both simultaneously. And I'm sure Karina will be coming back in. So I'm really looking forward to that, because she's just a ball of something that many people don't see, you know, and the mic didn't do it justice. You know, like, she went into her characters and everything. She even let us into her mind significantly. And I even expressed in that episode, I've tried to book I tried to book other improvists aside from her.
Yeah.
And the second that I did the pre-interview and I started talking about mind, they're like, no, I'm not coming in, because they didn't want to reveal how they think.
Why?
I think that's kind of the weapon of an improvist or an actor.
Is that they're sick in the head?
Well, I think it's like I said, it's their weapon. You know what I mean? So like, why would you undress yourself about your weapon? Right? Like you wouldn't do that openly. You know, it's very intimate. It's very, very personal. Karina, like, just took the shirt off.
What did she say?
She just started talking about her character development and how she does it. You'd have to listen to the episode, because I'm not going to do it justice by paraphrasing it. And it was pretty amazing, some of the stuff that she had said. And anybody, I mean, I don't give a shit. I mean, I don't give a shit if you're improv or not. The fact of the matter is she's teaching you a wittiness that you wouldn't otherwise get.
Yeah.
And she's showing you another way to think almost, which I 100% respect, you know?
So that episode we did with Curtis Redneck.
Yeah.
Curtis Redneck's here, about the justice system, the federal system, about like numerous pen bits and how that affected his life growing up as a ward of the government. And we titled it Unfuck Yourself.
Yeah.
And so he got that saying, unfuck yourself, from the person that influenced his life the most, which was an ex-war veteran prison guard named Mr. Vay. And I got a message through the institution to this guard about the podcast station.
Yeah.
And he went on it. And as soon as he seen Unfuck Yourself,
Yeah.
he looked up at my friend who told him about it, tears in his eyes, said, "I am so proud of that boy. I love him. He is my hero." And like, it's pretty cool because like we're going to be meeting up and go for coffee one of these days.
Yeah.
And it's going to be all good. And he's like a serious cat that's been on like 14 tours, watched his best friend blow up next to him, standing on a landmine, watched people's heads explode through fucking scopes. And at the end of his career, had 10,000 guys underneath him. Mm-hmm. And he's in a jail right now helping guys heal and transform and build some self-respect.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It is. It's really neat to see how this is giving back, even in a right now way. And then I think the biggest thing that I've been pleasantly surprised is how popular the podcast has ran right away. We're only like we're 38 episodes in, and I mean, all I can do is thank the listeners. And the best thing that you can do to support us, I think, at this moment is keep telling people. Just keep telling people about this podcast and
communicate with us.
Yeah, get on that. Get on our website and
www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com.
Yeah, and you can get a hold of us in a right now way. I mean, next month for Sober October, some things are going to change in context of getting a hold of us in a right now way. Kenny and I are still going to work out the logistics of that, so I can't really reveal it on this episode, but things are going to be more interactive between us and you, hopefully, if you choose to decide to go to that forum. I would like to make a ready link. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't let me. And neither do any of the podcasting stations itself. So the unfortunate piece about that is you would actually have to punch in www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com, and it's all one word. We will definitely come up on Google. I think we're like a 2.3 Google starred website right now. So it will be right there. You'll have the beautiful mountain scenery that you're probably looking at right now while you're listening. And especially this next month, we're going to be very, very interactive on that website with Sober October coming up. There will be a blog piece coming out next week that's going to really design exactly what's happening next month. And I mean, I think one of the beautiful things too that we've really tried to do is we've tried to example where we are geographically and open that up to many people, whether you be in America, the UK, wherever it may be. I mean, essentially the premise of our ideas are just that. They're ideas that are founded on personal experience, but also personal experience of scores of people who've gone through what we've gone through, and we can see in a generic way what works and what doesn't work, you know? And the abilities that we have, just because, you know, we screwed up doesn't mean that we should be doing time for the rest of our lives, you know?
No, but because we screwed up in the past, now we get our highs and we get our positive feedback from sharing this information because it helped us, and like helping that next guy that's just a little bit behind us
Yeah.
in experience skip over the fucking trauma that we went through.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that we're going to dive into here now is about helping youth. So I'm going to throw it out there right now on the Life on Livestream schedule. I am scheduled for EYOC next Monday.
Whoop, whoop. I didn't pass the security clearance, sadly, yet.
Yeah. I mean, probably by the next time we go in there, you'll definitely be in there.
So what's EYOC?
EYOC is the Edmonton Youth Offender Center. So that's where they have everything from
It's kids'
theft,
jail.
but they have everything from theft to first-degree murder in that place.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's where all the high-risk youth go in the Edmonton area. I'm basically going in on the premise of a program that I'm going to develop over the next 2 weeks. I'm not ready to really roll it out here on the airwaves. And I still have a couple of corporate people who need to get involved in order for me to be able to do that. But what would you suggest was some of the stop signs that people tried to put in front of you because you didn't go to youth corrections, right? Like,
No.
did you ever go to foster care or anything like that? Or
No.
no?
But some of the things that were like, that got me headed down the wrong path in life were my parents, who tried to force me to do what they wanted to do instead of meet me at my level and like kind of guide me.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to steer me
Yeah.
instead of just like be with me and like
Yeah.
help me out.
Yeah.
It was more like, no, do this. And I was like, no, fuck you.
Well, and I think that's a very precarious situation for a parent to be in, because one of the issues that I see is there's so much rebellion in us due to trauma that we've gone through as children. We really don't know how to deal with that anger. And then what ends up happening is they could tell us green, we're still going to tell them it's fucking purple. It doesn't matter. Like that's the line that's crossed. It doesn't matter. They could tell you this stove is not going to burn you, and you're going to put your hand on it more than once to prove that maybe this time it's not gonna, right? And I think that's just inherently who we become in that moment. So like for my own personal story, my mom was like the queen of my world, and sure, I was a shithead of a kid, but I never shit where I ate. My mom really didn't know a lot of the bad stuff that I was doing when I was in my teens. It was really, really quiet. I was a very secretive person, and I hid that stuff away so that she couldn't see it, because it would crush me. Like, I mean, I still made curfew. I made curfew and then fucking jumped out the window.
You didn't want to upset her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't come home if the cops were chasing me. I'm sleeping out, Mom. Right? Yeah. Like shit like that, right? I mean, my mom really only caught me high and drunk once in my teens. Other than that, I mean, I just basically shelved myself away somewhere, right? And I was also in residence school when I was 13, 14, 15. So she didn't see me from like Sunday to Thursday, right?
What's residence school?
So I have a learning disability, and there's a school in Southern Ontario. I talked a bit about this in my bio called Saganaska. So out of 15,000 kids in Ontario that applied, they accepted 5 every year.
What?
And yeah, seriously. And so you had to be smart, like you had to be highly intelligent in order to go to the school. The issue was the system that you were in wasn't able to teach you. So basically when I went to that school, long or the short of it, what they did was they taught me how to learn without the teacher. So the teacher would present the premise of what I was supposed to learn, and I basically utilized my own learning aptitude in order to decipher what they were teaching me. So like when I went into that school, across the board, at 13 years old, I had nothing higher than a grade 2 level of any curriculum. So like math was like junior kindergarten. I couldn't write my last name. By the time I left, I was university across the board. Right?
At how old?
I was 15 when I finally left. Like I was just turning 15. It was just before I turned 15.
So like what was the big thing that they taught you there?
So they basically, it's more one-on-one with a teacher that's coupled with psychology almost.
Yeah.
So like the biggest things that they had really taught me in that moment was like, you're an audio visual learner. So
Yeah.
like the biggest thing that you have to do instead of writing notes, because I paid too much attention to detail. So like when you write notes for yourself in university or school or whatever, what you end up doing is you take shorthand notes
Yeah.
so that you're triggered when reading your notes to know what the professor was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, they said, take that away. Instead, take a tape recorder,
Yeah.
record it. And because of my photographic memory, I've been taking a movie of my entire life throughout my entire life. Like that's just how I remember everything. So what the audio would do is it would signify places of where I really had to be high tension detail within my memory to remember exactly what was going on. Another thing that I still use today is like I have a special pen. So one of the things is when you're going through school, when you're studying and writing notes, you use a special pen.
Like that's why you have your fountain pen?
Yeah. So what that special pen does is when you go to the exam, you may have anxiety going into an exam. But when you have that special pen, if you don't know the answer, the pen certainly does. Because you've never used that pen for a quiz. You've never used that pen for a test. It's always been right, and it knows everything that you know already. See how much of a psych fuck that is?
Yeah.
Right? It knows what you know already. You can't fail. Right? Just look to the pen.
Yeah, it's just like when you're doing art, like your hand learns the drawing, and then you can after a few attempts you like master the drawing, and then you could draw with your eyes closed.
So those were some of the things that they had taught me. The biggest things I learned in that school was how to like suck up heroin, roll joints, right? Like I mean, I did spectacularly well in that school, but it gave me my independence really, really quickly. And by the time I came back, I was a full-blown junkie. Like,
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, unbeknownst to them, I mean, we were all getting high, and the school never knew. And then this is not a crash on Saganaska School. This is a crash on, I mean, we were already messed up individuals prior to going to that school. Like, you're talking about a bunch of kids who have low self-esteem, like extremely low self-esteem, and now conjuring together. I did learn my leadership though and independence in that school, which was pretty good.
Yeah.
I almost kind of think any of these children who are going through this issue need that kind of independence away from their parents so that they can actually, I think when that happens, and I'm not talking about jail or EYOC or any of that. What we're talking about is just them being on their own a little bit. They actually realize I don't know everything in life. And maybe my parents do have a little bit of knowledge that I don't have.
When are they supposed to understand this or get to that point?
Like, I think after 10, it's a write-off, really, in my opinion. I don't think you're teaching a kid anything after 10. They've already gotten to that point where they hate you. And so, like, at the age of 14, 15, if they're showing signs of independency and they're already out every night, running away, whatever they're doing, I mean, society will chuck them back at you. That's what's going to happen.
They'll come crawling back.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I really believe that. Or unless they go to EY, like some sort of correctional facility. And if they do, I mean, God bless the system and hopefully it helps correct. I mean, unfortunately, the numbers at this point don't dictate that. But I think what needs to be adhered to as well is that there's a camaraderie that comes out of things like EYOC that can be utilized within the street.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Well, they come out of there with a form of PTSD and separation anxiety and social exclusion that they stick and they unite to each other because of like experiences. And you know, when you go to war with somebody, like that guy's your brother.
Yeah.
And same with jail. And
it's the same thing in the criminal element. I mean, it is war. I'm not kidding you. I mean, that's the mentality that you have when you're in that place because, I mean, who else is going to go to jail with you? And you are hoping to God that the person standing next to you is solid enough not to flip on you if he's the guy who's actually doing the grunt end of things. You know what I mean? Like in the criminal element, we all take turns. Either I'm going to be the grunter and we're going to split the money, and then the next job you're going to be the grunter and we're going to split the money. This way you're limiting your exposure towards
Jail.
the police element.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's a smart way of being in that lifestyle that gives you longevity to a degree. You know what I mean? And that's also translated into a business persona as well. I mean, when you start working with other people, if you're the guy with the cash, you're going to take it on the chin in order to front it. You know what I mean? That's what you're going to do.
If you're the guy without the cash, you're going to work a little extra fucking hard.
That's right. And so that's the give and take even in the business world, because the limit of exposure is just that. I mean, you're trying to limit your exposure to something that could potentially be negative, right? Any other suggestions that worked with when you were younger that would have worked had you had a little bit more of it, I guess?
I had enough rope to hang myself with.
Yeah.
So I hung myself.
Yeah.
But if I had more of a relationship with my parents as a friendship where I could be open with them and I wasn't afraid of being like ostracized or punished or I wasn't afraid to hurt them with my actions because we were on a more open level. Like if I wasn't lied to as a kid about like what was going on in my family, then maybe I wouldn't have lied to them about what was going on in my life, because I was taught to lie through my parents' lies. Mm-hmm. And it's them avoiding causing stress and pain on me. But then all that taught me at a super young age was that's how you treat those that you love, is you hide a painful truth to in regards to their feelings, and you don't want to hurt them. Like the last thing I ever want to do is hurt my mom, right?
I think that's one of the things I've learned within recovery, through the process of recovery, is how difficult it is to be vulnerable and honest. Honesty is difficult. It's not easy. It's so much easier to lie by omission, by just not saying anything and moving on. And I think, like, if there's anything that I recognize too, even from that show we did, Sober Sex,
that was a fun one.
The biggest thing that I got from people is people who are so-called without an addiction issue were like, is it bad that I have to be intoxicated in order to sleep with my significant other, even though we've been together for more than 10 years?
Well, that's why they have to get drunk.
That's pretty crazy, right? Like, and nobody, like people who are supposedly not sick with addiction, didn't recognize it until we came up with like the premise of sober sex, right? Like they were just blown away that, well, maybe, like, why is it that I have to be intoxicated in order to have an intimate encounter with my significant other? And then you and I, who are sober, like, sober sex is better. Like, if you can get into sober sex, it will last longer. It'll be more enjoyable. You'll actually remember it. You'll look in your partner's eyes, so on and so forth, all of these things.
You actually like connect.
Yeah. And then on this same premise about honesty that you're bringing up, I mean, I now understand how difficult the anxiety, like, and to have to go through that, the anxiety, knowing that you have to say something honest, it's going to be difficult. And sitting in that moment with those damn butterflies in your stomach going, and you feel like there's a hand that just grew from your stomach to your throat inside of you and is squeezing your voice that you can't say anything, and all of a sudden you say something like, I need to talk to you. You're like, oh fuck, we're starting, right? Like, and that's the trigger. And that's why I say, and that it's a perfect example for the saying where I always relate to, being uncomfortable is the best place to be, because that's a very uncomfortable situation, and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, it's so freeing.
Then you're
like
growing.
Yeah. And then the next thing that happens is really you don't give a shit if, I mean, the premise about me saying I'm not responsible for your feelings comes from that, because I'm not. I'm probably going to say, out of these 38 episodes, I'm sure actually, I know I've said things that have pissed people off.
Probably
100% I know
something
that.
that has pissed everybody off in one way, shape, or form.
So in saying that, I mean, I'm not responsible for your feelings. And where did that come from? That came from the last 4 years of my life being uncomfortable in honest situations and recognizing that, you know what, this is the best way I can articulate this. And if if it offends you, I'm not going to say I'm sorry because this was the best way I could. It's up to you to deal.
I always ask him now. I've learned this as of recent, like the last year and a half. Are you open for feedback?
Yeah.
Right? Because as soon as they give me consent, well, it's on you anyways, because I asked you if you were ready for feedback.
The one thing that I have learned, so I used to go like that.
Yeah.
Now what I'll do is I'll tell them, I would like to participate in this conversation. It's okay if you just want me to listen. However, what I'm going to say to you is going to be like a cold dick in your face. And you might not appreciate what I'm going to say. Right?
A cold dick.
Literally, right? like that's exactly what I say. And I tell them straight away. I say, I'm a solution oriented person. I'm here to tell you your parents fucked you up and that really sucks. Let's move on. Right? Like there's no point in pissing around anymore, right? And I think that's the same thing with these kids. Unfortunately, the scars are so battered about their parents fucking them up that they're sitting in a place where they're still stewing about my mom did this and my dad did this and society's just like them and they're doing this to me, and the victimized mentality that keeps on being burdened upon them because they keep just shoveling that shit into their backpack.
You know what? I think that if from all the episodes that we've done together and that I've done on my own and the ones that I've listened to you interview people, I'd say the biggest thing that comes out of these episodes is we help and give ways to get out of that victim mentality, to be accountable and to take your life, your feelings, and your future into your own hands and start taking action towards getting it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's the big thing is like we can all sit there in a pity pot and piss away, and we can all try to up one-manship each other and my life was worse than yours, so on and so forth. The reality is the emotional bankruptcy. Look, love is love, okay? Love is love and depression is depression. The feeling is no different from me to you. The fact of the matter is the only way to articulate that feeling is that word. That's all there is. And we cannot say that your depression is worse than my depression, because if we get into that world, all that's going to happen is, oh my God, that's like saying my addiction was worse than yours. That's horse shit. If you started smoking and you're addicted to smoking in the first year, you're the same addiction as somebody who's been smoking for 50 years. There's no difference. There is really no difference. The substance cannot make you more of an addict in 50 years than you are in a year. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's just like meth addict and heroin addict. You're still an addict.
Yeah, because how often will a heroin addict quit heroin and go to meth, or a meth addict quit meth and go to heroin?
The substance doesn't matter. Addiction is addiction, and
we're all addicted to feeling.
And that's the point. You cannot articulate bad feelings more so than somebody standing next to you. You may interpret it in a way that feels so dramatic for you, but the reality is this: it's just as dramatic for you as it is for the person who's sitting next to you, because it's that significant. And if you can recognize that, then that's where we all get along. That's the common ground.
How we connect,
right?
Build rapport.
I mean, when somebody says my life is shit, well, okay, I get my life is shit too. We're not here to say potato. We're here to say, okay,
what can we do to fix it?
Let's carry on. Oh, no, but it's really bad for me.
I'm not done telling you how shitty it is yet.
That's right. Yeah. And with that mentality, I mean, and that's a very, I mean, I just don't even go there anymore with people, because it's just, and I think that's the thing too, even with parents, even with kids, you have to recognize how far down the line you're really going to go and understand your limitations. I mean, if your limits are far spellbound by what your child is doing, you need to regress. The more abundant that you become within strictness or whatever it may be, by controlling or whatever it is, that's because I get it. You're trying not to see your child hurt themselves and be as destructive as they are.
But then you're limiting them the experience of finding out on their own.
That's right. Remember we said a long time ago, we earn our bottoms. I fucking earned that bottom. And every time that you stop me from hitting that bottom, I'm not going to learn it.
Yeah.
I was just in a conversation. I can't say who it was, but I was in a conversation with somebody a while ago who said, I don't believe in tough love for an addict. And I said, that's fine. I agree that everybody's bottom is different, and I appreciate the experience that they had to go through in order to find their bottom. And it's fantastic if you find a Cinderella story where they were still able to live with their parents, so on and so forth. But the unfortunate thing is I've seen way more families love the addict to death than the addict rear their head out of their ass and get sober. And that's my personal experience. I have definitely worked with over 80 families at this point within my recovery. And I have seen way more families love that person to die than actually providing them any help, where they have to actually go and like the addict actually has to go and utilize the system. It's unfortunate that your child's going to be homeless. It's unfortunate that they have to go to a homeless shelter. It's unfortunate that they may get crack foot. It's unfortunate that they may get all of these things that are going to happen to them, but those are the things that are going to compel them not to go back.
To make the changes.
That's the reality.
The pain has to get greater.
Yeah, you can't soften this blow. And if we're going to try to change the youth at the moment, we have to recognize, in my opinion, this is only my humble opinion, I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, we have to recognize right away, yeah, you know what, you had a shitty fucking life. And it sucks. But you want to be a part of my family. You want to be a part of this family that's full of success and vibrancy, and show you transferable skills so you can be successful and change the path that you're on right now. I'm not here to question where you came from. I'm not here to question what you're doing. I'm here to say to you, this is the way that we can go, and you'll be the first 20-year-old kid with $100,000 in your pocket in 2 years. If that's what you want, come and get it.
They need encouragement. They need their skills and talents and hobbies leveraged. They need rapport on an equal basis, not as a hierarchy.
Yeah. And the drive that those kids have already, coming from nothing, coming out of situations like EYOC or youth corrections or whatever it is, that's the drive that every entrepreneur needs to make it. You can't learn that shit in school. You just can't.
No, you got to be homeless or in jail or near the bottom rungs.
Or something. I mean, I know rich kids who have that same kind of drive. I've met them. Okay? They're there to prove it because that's just the competitiveness that family has, right? And the dad is always on them. I've seen that shit.
But like Les Brown says, you got to be hungry.
Yeah. Yeah. Even Dan Pena. Like, Dan Pena is the guy who's like, my fucking kids, they will not sit at the table with less than an A+. I'm fucking telling you right now. And I send them to good schools. It's hard to get an A+ in those schools. I won't accept anything less. I just won't. I pay way too much money for tuition, right? You're talking about a guy who went from $800 to billions in 3 years in the oil sector. And he's not just a one-off. This guy has been able to duplicate that kind of yield and earning from business to business to business. What was he? He was a gangbanger before he went into business. Like, straight up gangbanger. The fucking guy comes out of LA. Like, we're talking Compton shit, right? Yeah. His last name's Pena. Put it together. He ain't really American as much as he's American. And like, you read anything about Dan Pena, he'll say that. I mean, he comes from a very Latino part of California, of LA. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, even still today, imagine this old guy, he's buttoning his top button and letting all the others go because he knows where he is. And I'm not condoning gang affiliation, because I'm sure he's not affiliated to any gang today. But what I am saying is he still has that mentality in his head in the context of the only positivity that comes from that life is, I'm going to fucking get mine.
Entrepreneurship.
And that's what it boils down. How we hustle hard, son. You know what I mean? Like
I was up till 1:00 last night finishing our logo.
Yeah.
Which I sent to you, and then I went to bed and got up 4 hours later.
Good work.
Yeah, you guys are gonna love it.
It will. Yeah, I think. Well, it'll be on these T-shirts coming up, right? But yeah, with that, do you got anything to plug? Oh, what are you doing this weekend?
This weekend on Saturday at the McDougall United Church on 101 Street, just south of Jasper Ave in Edmonton, Alberta. There is a Recovery Day concert.
Mm-hmm.
We're having live musicians, Ben Williams, Tia Gonzalez, and the pop group that I've never heard of, Janessa. I don't know how good the music's going to be.
It's going to be awesome.
It's more or less, it's for a nonprofit. It's a charitable event, and it's to celebrate recovery and give hope for future addicts who are still struggling, and to perpetuate more sobriety.
Saturday night, I'm at the Grindstone. We've got Sorry Not Sorry doing an improv show. 8:00, the doors open. $8 for admission to get in. It's sober friendly, I believe, or it will be for me because it doesn't matter where I go. I'm okay with being sober, even if there's drinking.
Are we going to look at that studio?
Potentially.
Yeah.
There is an entrepreneur thing that's happening this weekend. I don't know if I'm attending. I might not. But yeah, there's Sorry Not Sorry that's happening Saturday night, and then Sunday I'm a freebie. Are you freebie on Sunday?
It's open for the right event, the right person.
Yeah, baby, take one of those lovely ladies out of your stable.
That was uncalled for.
I'm just fucking with you.
You want to know what's cool? Today I read one of my ideal scene exercises.
Oh yeah.
That I wrote when I was in jail in 2016, like June-ish, and about 85% of it has come true.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
That's
I got to
great.
write another one.
That's fantastic.
We should write one together.
Yeah, maybe. We could.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
And then we could talk about it.
You see how uncommittal I am unless I'm actually committed? Oh, so I see that you lopped off. You got a little bit of whiskers there.
Whoa. So, okay. I know we did like this beard thing where we were going to grow our beard all the way till November.
Yeah.
But I looked like Master Splinter. Okay? Like,
you should have taken a picture. You should have taken a picture before you lopped it off.
The thing is that I tried to take I haven't been posting. I haven't been doing videos because I've been self-conscious about my Master Splinter beard that wasn't looking good.
Oh my god.
It wasn't looking good.
All right, well.
Like, I wasn't getting the same eye contact from strangers as I walked past them on the street.
Oh my god.
They were like...
So listeners, at this moment, you can rip that apart. You can rip that apart. I'm sure you guys know me well enough over 38 episodes, what's rolling through my head. And all I'm going to suggest to you, Kenny, is you need to read Melody Beattie, Codependent No More.
You keep saying that.
Yeah. It may open your eyes just a wee bit. As a matter of fact, I even found a place that sells it. I might go and just pick that up for you as a gift. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyways, wrap it up.
Commit to it. Shout out to our lawyer, Liam Connolly. Connolly Law. For all your Canadian law, will, estate, media issues, Google Liam Connolly Law. This guy is really good. He does a lot for us.
Sure does. Kept our ass out of hot water a couple times now.
Yeah.
If you have any suggestions for not-for-profit, the Patreon page is down.
I have a suggestion for a nonprofit.
Well, we'll talk about that off air.
Okay.
The Patreon page is down. I'm not posting on there anymore. You can go to our website, which is what, Kenny?
www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com.
And you can spread your suggestions there, and we would be glad to entertain them.
Hey, where's my bio?
It's up.
It's up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on the creators page, yeah.
Okay.
And then T-shirts will be coming very soon. I know we've been saying it for a while. We're just building that anticipation. That's all we're doing. Kind of. So that should happen right away. Anything else on your sheet there?
I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate all of you for listening, and
What are they a part of?
you're part of our pride. The-
Sure are.
The Lion's pride.
So this I said this yesterday. So this show will always be free because we get other people to pay our bills. And we thank you very, very much for listening to any of the plugs that we plug on this show. When you go to any of these places such as Remedy Cafe or Google Liam Connolly and use any of his services, please suggest that you heard this on Life on Life's Terms podcast. It would be greatly appreciated. And I bid you all farewell for this Friday, and we will see you next week.
Toodles.